training, and training. Many non-profits systematically recruit for such people. Seasoned volunteers are assigned to scan the newcomers, the new member in a church or a synagogue. The neighbor who collects for the Red Cross to find those with a leadership talent and persuade them to try themselves in more demanding assignments. Then senior staff, either a full-timer or as a payroll or a second volunteer, interviews the newcomers to assess their strengths and praise them and accordingly. Volunteers may also be assigned both a mentor and a supervisor with whom they work out their performance goals. These advisors are two different people as a rule, and both are ordinary volunteers themselves. The Girl Scouts, which employs 730,000 volunteers and only 6,000 paid staff for 3.5 million girl members, works this way. A volunteer typically starts by driving youngsters once a week to a meeting. Then a more seasoned volunteer draws her into other work, accompanying Girl Scouts selling cookies door to door, assisting a brownie leader on a camping trip. Out of this step-by-step process evolves the volunteer boards of the local council and eventually the Girl Scouts governing organ. The national board, each step, even the very first, has its own compulsory training program, usually conducted by a woman who is herself a volunteer. Each step has a specific performance standards and performance goals. What do these unpaid staff people themselves demand? What makes them stay? And of course, they can leave at any time. Their first and most important demand is that the non-profit have a clear mission, one that drives everything the organization does. A senior vice president in a large regional bank has two small children, yet she just took over as a chair of the state chapter of the Nature Conservancy, which finds, buys, and manages endangered natural ecologies. I love my job, she said, when I asked her why she took on such a heavy additional work, and of course the bank has a creed. But it doesn't really know what it contributes. At Nature Conservancy, I know what I am here for. Wow. The second thing this new breed requires, indeed demands, is training, and more training. And in turn, the most effective way to motivate and hold veterans is to recognize their expertise and use them to train newcomers. Wow. Then these knowledge workers demand responsibility, above all for thinking through and setting their own performance goals. They expect to be consulted and to participate in making decisions that affect their work and the work of the organization as a whole. And they expect opportunities for advancement. That is a chance to take on more demanding assignments and more responsibility as their performance warrants. That is why a good many non-profits have developed career ladders for their volunteers. Oh wow! Non-profits have developed career ladders for their volunteers. Wow! Supporting all this activity is accountability. Many of today's knowledge worker volunteers insist on having their performance reviewed against preset objectives at least once a year, and increasingly, they expect their organization to remove non-performers by moving them to the other assignments that better fit their capacities or by counseling them to leave. Wow! It's worse than the Marine Corps. It's worse than the Marine Corps boot camp, says a priest in the change of the volunteer in the Midwest diocese. But we have 400 people on the waiting list. Wow! One large and growing Midwestern art museum requires of its volunteers, board members, fundraisers, and docents, and the people who edit the museum's newsletter, that they set their goals each year, appraise themselves against those goals, and resign when they fail to meet their goals 2 years in a row. So does a fair-sized Jewish organization working on the college campuses. These volunteer professionals are still a minority, but a significant one, perhaps 1/10 of the total volunteer population. And they are growing in numbers and more important in their impact on the non-profit sector. Increasingly, non-profits say what the minister in the large pastoral church says. There is no laity in this church. There are only pastors, a few paid, most unpaid.